Welcome to Merle's Pearls of Wisdom, where I, Merle M. Singer, the relationship miracle worker, talk about all things relationship and how they impact our lives. Today I'm going to talk to you about my theory of the world when I was in elementary school, maybe through high school. Yes, I'm a slow learner. So when I was in elementary school, I wasn't particularly physically active, but I was an absolute psychological genius. Or so I thought. So one of my brilliant thoughts was that pain isn't a good thing and it shouldn't be in your life. So if you experience pain, you should stop that. It was clear. I mean, if you touch the stove, that was pain and you stopped that. So pain was something that you were supposed to not have in your life. And actually, I think I extended it to maybe not exactly fully pain, but discomfort, any kind of negative feeling. Because if there was an Almighty, that Almighty surely wouldn't want us to have negative feelings. It seemed kind of logical to me. So, although I wanted to learn to play the piano, and I did practice for a while, I decided it was too painful to practice. And so I stopped. And so I have a piano, but I can't play the piano. I wanted to learn to speak Spanish. Well, actually, I took French because I figured, well, I was Europe bound, so French, and actually that little bit of French I learned was helpful. But I never did learn Spanish. I grew up on the East Coast, and the Spanish people were Puerto Ricans. I didn't experience a lot of them. So I put off learning Spanish, and I'm still putting it off. All so that I should not have pain. So somewhere along the line, it was the Olympics. It was, wait a second, it is 26 miles, the marathon. Did you ever see somebody come in winning the marathon? They come in, they fall on the floor in absolute exhaustion. How could they be having a good time? So somewhere along the line, I understood that they had the joy that they had was the accomplishment, and that the accomplishment took a certain amount of pain and however else you want to call discomfort. It was sheer pain. I mean, you look at their face was awful. And the other thing was pregnancy. Well, I had a classic view of I wanted to get married and I wanted to have children, and so I did. and I went for natural childbirth, and that the experience I had giving birth was like running the marathon. It was exhausting, more than painful, and it was exhilarating. So, this is truly, maybe this was the real beginning of my lesson of understanding that pain in and of itself is not bad. It's how it's used. If it's used to beat yourself up on a constant basis, like a bad marriage, not good. Definitely not good. But if it's letting you know to get your finger off the oven, pretty darn good. And if it's so that you can run a marathon or be an Olympian and do something so much to the absolute limit of your ability, so that it caused you, by the time you hit the finish line, total, complete exhaustion, but also exhilaration. That changed my philosophy. Then I understood that things are not necessarily always black and white. It's not always pain is always bad. Maybe it's not always bad. And that things are how you use them. How you use them as a tool. If you use pain as a tool to be a signal for, watch out, and oh, yeah, it hurts, but I can stretch those muscles. It's okay. Look at those Olympians, the acrobats in the Olympics. They're 12, they're 8, they're like -3. They're so young. And they're so dedicated. They're so willing to extend the amount of ability they have just a little bit past that comfort zone, that pain zone, just to push themselves a little further and a little further. And they end up being Olympiad stars, winners. And if you aren't a winner, if you go to the Olympics and you come in last, you're still way ahead of the rest of us. And what an awesome adventure to go to some different country, to meet a bunch of people that are highly functioning at their total top, and to be among those people. What do you learn from other people that are really doing the very best? You learn things you don't learn from me, who said, too much work for the piano. Pain is not bad. Pain is bad if you use it to club yourself over the head and keep putting your finger back on that burnt stove, that hot stove. Then that's not cool. But if you use it as a signal, this I gotta stop, and this is okay. This is at the edge of my comfort zone, but I can push just a little further. I think that's brilliant. I think it's a nuance. Things aren't black or white. Things aren't painful or they're not painful. in the right context, it's this way. In the other context, it's that way. That's the nuance that life is filled with. That's what, we don't need to fear pain. We need to get better at listening to it. Pain, it's not a moral failure, and it's not a badge of honor. It's feedback. So the wisdom isn't in avoiding pain. The wisdom is in knowing when to stop and when to take one more step. Thank you for listening to Merle's Pearls of Wisdom. With me, your host, Merle. I'm Singer, the Relationship Miracle Worker. You can find this episode and all past episodes at relationshipmiracleworker.com/podcast, as well as it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and all your other favorite podcast platforms. Check it out, and check it out on YouTube. Have a great day. And remember, pain is a signal. Thank you.